Day 32, back in Montana.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
want to be
go
stepping
step
on toes, but I am.
Wait.
But we are in St. Regis,
Car.
about 100 miles from our night stay at Coeur d'Alene. Beautiful view coming out of Coeur d'Alene with the lake off to the right. It was a nice day.
Oh yeah, the weather was great. Not much traffic. A little road construction to mix things up. Now we're at a very quiet spot here in St. Regis. And it's the home of Henry's Casino. Cutthroat. The Cutthroat Casino. But we're not staying here.
And I've resisted the urge to pull the one-armed bandit.
Exactly.
Save my money. I spend it on gas, and off we go north to Kalispell.
So we were on 90 for a while,
90, yep.
Yes.
but now we're going to get on.
We're going to get on 28 and wind our way. We're going to hit 93 at some point.
It was a short trip across Idaho, actually.
Very
And now we're in Montana.
We
and
are.
we'll stay in Montana all day long.
We saw a great lake yesterday, the Lake of Coeur d'Alene, and today we're going to go visit Flathead Lake.
Fires permitting.
There's
been
forest
some
fires.
Forest fires, yes.
Our final vector is somewhere Shelby and east.
Yeah. Well,
On
east
Highway 2.
Highway 2. We'll be on Highway 2 for a long time.
Very good. Sounds like a good ride.
Cheers.
One, two,
1, 2, 3.
let's
ride!
So back on the bikes we went. We rode 90 east out of Coeur d'Alene through Montana. More beautiful scenery. Mountains, not as large as we'd seen before, but nice mountains off in the distance. Water along the side of the road. Lots of trees. Very nice, very beautiful scenery for our ride. We rode 90 out, and then we picked up 93. So then we had to start going north again. Our goal was to pick up Highway 2 again, and to get there we had to go around Flathead Lake up into Kalispell, and then we were going to pick up Highway 2 to continue then our journey on east again. Ever since we got on the boat and then got off the boat, it seemed that weather was on our side. We had left the rain behind us from up north, and all of our rides were beautiful sunny weather days. But unfortunately, we had heard the rumors and we had to look out as we headed up Highway 93, headed up into the Flathead Lake area. We had heard that since it had been so dry, actually, there were fires. And sure enough, one side of the road, everything was burned out. The other side of the road, things were still somewhat green and no fire had touched it. In this area, it was more kind of grass fires, but we could see off in the distance smoke still billowing up from the fires. And every once in a while we would see some of the fire crews trying to take care of some of the hot spots in the area. So we did experience the fires. We had heard actually the day before the road had been closed for a while, and we were glad that it was open again. We have found Flathead Lake, the largest lake west of the Mississippi by surface area. Very clear water, and it was glaciers formed lake. There's an island out in the middle of about 2,000 acres. Rumor has it that Native Americans would put their horses out there to keep others from taking them. But at the north end of the lake was Kalispell, which again in the native language stood for flat land above the lake. At the beginning of our journey as we headed toward Canada, we were not allowed to do the Going to the Sun Road because it still had snow on it and it was closed. On our return trip, we went to the west end of Glacier National Park and found out that the trick was you had to have a timed pass to enter during the day, which we had going out, but we didn't have one returning. But if you got in line at 4 o'clock at the end of the day, then they would let everybody in on a first come, first served basis. And they kind of hinted, it said, get in line about 15 minutes early. So we did. We were in line about 15 minutes before 4 o'clock. Then they started to let us through, and it was amazing. We got in the park, and it was like we had the place to ourselves for a long time. Now, the road through the park It starts out kind of in a tree tunnel on the west side with a huge lake next to it. Then you start the climb. You start going up in elevation. In the end, you would be up with the snow, up on the top of the hill, on the top of the mountain, looking down to the valley. So there was a slow climb. This climb was filled with tunnels and switchbacks to allow all the elevation changes to happen in the road. At first, we were spending so much time concentrating on riding, then we kind of glanced over to say, oh, there's just a couple little rocks there, and beyond those couple little rocks is a huge drop off into a deep valley. So maybe we should be a little bit more careful, because the road really wasn't a full 2 lanes width. And there were some big tour buses that were kind of coming around the curves in front of us. So you really had to pay attention. The road itself was 40 miles long, 40 some miles long. And the local experts told us to plan on 2 hours to go through the whole park. Well, that's assuming that you're kind of slowed down and you're behind, kind of bumper to bumper cars, which is pretty typical. Again, we got lucky. We got in and there was no one in front of us for the longest time. So that allowed us to go a little bit faster. You can tell we were going between 25 to 40 at times, but when we were climbing next to the rocks, next to the big drop off, next to waterfalls, we weren't going more than 20 to 25. So it did take us close to the 2 hours to go through the Going to the Sun Road. We stopped just for a moment at one point to take a look at the incredible view down into the valley, snow-capped mountains all around, as you can see all around us. The only mistake we made with stopping for this view is a tour bus got in front of us. The tour bus was going very, very slow. That was our only challenge today. Our bike started overheating because we were going so slow. Here you can see we came up and this waterfall came down and they had built a little tunnel to let the water underneath the road. Just a beautiful view along the way. Again, we would see more drop-offs and waterfalls and snow. We even saw the snow that had covered where it had stopped, where they had dug it out finally, and was still sitting there on top of the mountain where it had covered the road weeks before. But soon we neared the top, and we crested over, and we knew, okay, there's the top. Now we're going to start headed back down in elevation. And back down we went. And when you went back down in elevation, you had to do the switchbacks on the way back down. And of course, with the switchbacks came tunnels and everything they could do to protect the elevation of the road and keep us tucked in on the side of the mountain. It was an incredible ride. So we popped out on the east side. You could tell there was a remnant on that side. It had a forest fire. This section here had suffered a forest fire. I don't know how many years back it had been, but you could tell this area was recovering. Again, there's a beautiful lake down next to us and just incredible scenery. It was a little overwhelming to think, well, we really had to ride over 40 miles to go through this beautiful place. But then the miles go by, you look up, there's the kind of the welcome center on the east side, and we were done. Going to the Sun Road, one of the best experiences we had of all the rides, of all the state parks. It was the best. And we were glad to finish another day of riding.